Hello my dear friends, please allow me to welcome all of you in StudyIQ lecture on Hindu analysis. I am Prashant Mawani and the date today is 5th September 2017. Today is a very special day. I'm sure you would be knowing about it because today is a very auspicious day. It is Happy Teachers Day and we celebrate this day after one of the most loved person, a thorough gentleman, a philosopher, a president, a vice president of our country, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishna. It was in 1962, dear friends, when we started celebrating Teachers' Day. And it is quite interesting, there is an interesting story behind it as well, that when Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishna became a president of our country, then some of his students went to him and requested him to allow to celebrate his birthday as a Teacher's Day. And what Dr. Radhakrishnan said in return is, instead of celebrating my birthday, it would be my proud privilege if September 5th is observed as Teacher's Day. Dear friends, there is no doubt that Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishna was a great person. He was a great teacher and above all he was a great human being, and we are lucky to have him as a president of our country. It also reminds me that imagine if this few students would not have gone to Mr. President, and if they would not have requested, then do you think that we would be celebrating Teachers' Day today? I think not. And this reminds me, or this gives me an idea that a teacher is not a teacher without a student. Student plays a very important role in the life of teacher, as teacher plays an important role in life of a student. So I think it is a great relationship between both a student and teacher, a relationship that is based on trust, on respect, and it is part of our Indian culture as well that we pay reverence to our teachers. It is also a two-way process. That's what I think, that it is a two-way process. And I strongly believe that both teacher and student can learn from each other. I would really love if you can pass me your comments. What do you think about this idea? And dear friends, I'll give you a food for thought as well. We are celebrating Teachers' Day, isn't it? And what is a simple definition of a good teacher? A good teacher is one who will never allow a student within himself or herself to die. Right? Always a curious student is living there inside a good teacher. So that itself indicates that it is a two-way process, and the food for thought is that how about if we start celebrating Students' Day as well, because a student is the one who is having seeds of becoming or flowering as a teacher. Do let me know about your views on this thing. Now dear friends, 8th September is not far and we are offering a discount, a good discount on all the necessary e-material, pen drive courses and tablet courses that is served by StudyIQ. So wait for no one. Go ahead and do get your pen drive courses. All you have to do is go to our website. If you have any question or query, feel free to ask us, give us a call on this number and we will sort it out for you, dear friends. Now let's see what we have got in Hindu editorials. This editorial is about North Korean crisis, the things that are going on in North Korea. But before understanding that, let's locate where North Korea is in the world map. Here is your North Korea, and next to it you can see Japan is not far from here. Here is your Pacific Ocean, and USA as well is not far if you travel from Pacific Ocean. So this area of Arctic Circle, I beg your pardon, it is Alaska, the state of United States, is not far from North Korea. And if we zoom this map a little bit, we also find that this North Korea is sharing a land boundary with China, Russia, South Korea, Sea of Japan is here, and do locate this Yellow Sea as well. Keep this in mind because it is important sea. So these are the countries that are surrounding or are nearby North Korea. Now, what is happening in North Korea at present? Why it is in news or in editorial? Because it is misbehaving for the longest time. What it has done is it has conducted a 6th nuclear weapon test, a hydrogen bomb. And now it is capable of launching hydrogen bomb on intercontinental ballistic missile. That means it can send it to another continent as well, particularly United States of America. Now this is a big issue. This is a big problem because it is outrightly rejecting non-proliferation bans. It is also not obeying the international test bans or the international laws. And when it conducted this hydrogen bomb test, an earthquake of 6.3 magnitude was recorded by USA, and experts say that this bomb, this hydrogen bomb test, the latest test, is 7 times stronger than the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, before going through, or if you want to understand it in a holistic manner, that it is necessary that where all this trouble started. The background is that, dear friends, in early 1950s, there happened a Korean War. Now, during this Korean War, the world was divided into 2 different blocks, right? It was a bipolar world. There were basically 2 teams. One team was led by USA, the other team was led by USSR, that we know today now as Russia. So after this war, or during the wartime as well, USA supported the Southern Korea, or the South Korea, and USSR was for North Korea. And after that, the war was over somewhere around in 1953. But still, from that time till now, the problem is going on between these 2 countries. Something similar what is going on between India and Pakistan. Now the thing is, this country is a poor country, right? What happened after the war is that USA started training and teaching South Korea. It also started learning from Japan as well. So now all the bigger companies like Hyundai, LG, Samsung, these all companies, these all giants belong to South Korea. But we won't find any sort of this sort of international brands from North Korea because it is a poor country. It is also reported that it has gone through many famines. There is food insecurity in the country. It is, generally speaking, undeveloped country, and there are huge amount of poor people living in North Korea. Now it reminds us, or it pushes us to think about why North Korea is misbehaving. What are the reasons? Being a poor country, it is misbehaving, and it is misbehaving with none other than the strongest country in the world, that is United States of America. I have found 3 important reasons. One reason is that it wants to ensure that military prowess. It wants to be in par with 5 strongest nuclear powers, and this target is achieved. As I told you, the latest bomb is 7 times stronger than Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. By being itself, or by upgrading itself as a military power, what it can do is that it can spread its propaganda within the North Korea, that the Kim family, which is ruling the country for it is the 3rd generation. Kim Jong-un is the 3rd generation of Kim family that is ruling this country. Dictatorship basically. And this dictator wants to ensure, or wants to spread a propaganda that to protect the country of North Korea, it has to ensure that it is having the best possible nuclear weapons with it, or else the countries like USA or other countries will come inside and they will take over from of course from Kim Jong-un, and they will destroy their country. This is the propaganda it is spreading within its people. So it is getting a sort of support within the people of the country as well. Now, by having nuclear power, it can keep all the external interventions. What happened in Iraq and Libya, it can avoid that, because no country, may it be USA or any other country, no one will attack a country that is having nuclear weapons, right? So it works as a deterrence as well. Now the thing is, any sort of international issue, right, we have to see it through the eyes of India. We have to see whether it is in favor of India, if the things are taking place, whether it will help India or whether it is going to be detrimental for India. Now, of course, India has condemned this hydrogen bomb test. It its negative impact on our stock market as well. And if we see from internal security, national security perspective, then Pakistani angle is coming out from it, because in the history as well we can see that Pakistan was provided nuclear weapons and technologies by North Korea. So any sort of technological upgradement in nuclear area is going to be detrimental for our country as well. If we see the bigger picture of economic development, then we know that huge amount of investment is coming from Japan, South Korea and USA. Many of the South Korean products are being made in India as well. But if these countries are engaged in war with Korea, then investment will stop. Our investment over there will be stopped as well, and this will be detrimental. This will be not good for our economic development. So war and this sort of situation is definitely not good for our country. We are seeing it in the other parts of Asia as well, like West Asia, particularly Arab world. We know that there are problems going on between Qatar and other Arab countries. The situation in Yemen, we know the situation in Syria. So Asia, which is the 21st century, which is known or called as the century of Asia. So if this sort of problems are going on in Asia, then it is going to be not good. And particularly as for India, a rising leader, it wants to see peace and prosperity in Asia. Now let's analyze what different countries has to do with, or say for example USA, China, Russia, Japan, South Korea. What are these countries doing, or what they have done so far? Earlier, talking about USA, it used to, or it had tried sending its naval ships in this area. It has applied some sanctions as well. It has passed resolutions in United Nations, but nothing is working against North Korea. It is in fact making it more ferocious. Recently, Donald Trump has said that nuclear weapons of USA are also locked and loaded, and anytime it can send it over there if it finds any sort of security threat from North Korea. It is also said that this move is conducted to pacify, to ensure that the South Korea is not too much panicked, and beg your pardon. It has also threatened any country dealing or doing business with North Korea, and this is directly pointing towards China. In this way, USA has done many things, but it is not working, and in fact China has also clearly stated that it is not its own responsibility, or it is not ready to single-handedly deal with North Korea. If there is going to be any deal, then it has to be a joint deal or a joint efforts by all the countries. Now earlier the picture was that North Korea was being persuaded to stop all these activities, and it was done by a team of USA, which had strangely Russia and China on its side. But now things have changed. Now USA has Japan and South Korea, and all these countries are at present seen against North Korea. Now let's see what these two countries are doing, South Korea and Japan. Now, as we know, as we have spotted in the map which was provided to you earlier, that South Korea is sharing a land boundary with it. So any sort of war is going to be definitely going to affect South Korea as well. South Korean president was in favor of talk earlier on, but now he has changed his mind. He has deployed THAAD is a missile system, is a missile defense system of USA that is deployed by South Korea. And I must say that many people in South Korea are not happy with the aggressive stand taken by their president. Japan is not far from North Korea, and both Japan and South Korea at present have significantly increased their defense capabilities, and spending on missiles particularly has gone up as well. China is suggesting that discussions and talks are the best option that can be done at present. China has clearly said that it is not going to deal on its own, because if it stops trading with North Korea, then it is going to impact its economic ties. Its economic scenario is going to get impacted. And with Russia and China together, both are suggesting that USA should remove the weapons first from North Korea, and it should stop threatening North Korea, and then North Korea can be persuaded to come on the table. So dear friends, basically this is in limbo. We don't know the clear solution. The clear results are not out yet, but what could be the possible solution? See, it is looking more like an ego issue of USA, because it is a world leader, and a small and a poor country like North Korea is not paying any heed to its threats. The other thing is that USA is also dragging other countries in its matters. So we can find some good solution, and the good solution as said by China, and today in BRICS summit as well, the BRICS leaders have said that talks are the only possible solution. USA has done this earlier as well, say for example with Cuba, then it can do it with North Korea as well, and we can, for the sake of humanity, avoid this sort of war situation. Moving on to another editorial is about PSLV. What is PSLV? PSLV basically is a launcher. It is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. It is famously known as workhorse of ISRO, and it is in active service. It is serving ISRO since last 24 years. Out of total 49 flights, 39 has been successful. That indicates that it is a flawless machine. But recently, on 31st August 2017, the flight PSLV C-39 failed. But it is not to worry about. ISRO will sort it out. Earlier flight failure was in 1993, so you can say that for the longest period of time, this workhorse has proved its capabilities. It has also bagged a world record of launching 104 satellites in one go, which itself is a big achievement. Now this PSLV was deployed, PSLV C-39 was deployed to launch IRNSS satellite. IRNSS refers to Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. It is also known as Navik. This name is given by Narendra Modi. Navigation with Indian Constellation. Now dear friends, what is IRNS all about? It is a constellation of 7 satellites. You have 7 different satellites in the space, and they are basically sending us navigation data. The reason for launching IRNSS 1H which got failed is because the 1A, the first satellite, its atomic clock, which keeps the time, which the job of this atomic clock is to keep the time, and because of a snag that was developed in this atomic clock, the data that was coming from IRNS was not up to date, or it was having some gaps in it. So it was decided that this 1H satellite will replace 1A, but we met a failure. The reason why we have decided to have our own regional navigation satellite system and not rely thoroughly on GPS is because GPS, Global Positioning System, is a USA based navigation system, and in Kargil war we have faced that they have turned off their GPS services for us. So in future, to avoid this sort of situation and to become self-reliant in navigation, it is important for us to complete this constellation. Apart from that, it is encrypted, as that means it is more secure to use IRNSS for India, and because it is a regional satellite, it is focusing, the satellites are focusing on our country, so we have accurate positioning. It is used for commercial, military and day-to-day use. And let me add that the way e-commerce business is growing in our country, this can be a game changer. There was a technical snag developed, the heel sheet separation failed, and the thing to worry about is because this was the first time when ISRO was building this satellite by using or by shaking hand with a private company. A single private company was engaged in making this satellite 1H. Normally many of the companies are taken on board and made satellites, and it is a bit of worry because in 2018, by the end of 2018, ISRO has thrown open its door to private companies to build 18 spacecraft. So we have to ensure, ISRO has to ensure that utmost care and scrutiny is done before every launch. And ISRO is not only sending satellites in the space, it is also playing a pivotal role in space diplomacy. We have recently seen how South Asian satellites were launched and how Narendra Modi had connected all the neighboring countries. It has brought them more closer by providing them free transporter services. But we can safely say that ISRO has bounced back. It is an organization that has bounced back, and it has overcome all the challenges. So it's quite visible, and it will not dent the image as a it will not dent image of ISRO, and it will not affect the image of PSLV as a reliable launching vehicle. Moving on to another article, it's written by Gautam Mukhopadhyay. He was an ambassador to Myanmar, and this article is about India-Myanmar. It is a curtain raiser. Curtain raiser basically means that whenever Prime Minister of our country or President or any dignitaries are visiting another country, or if the dignitaries are coming to our country, then you find articles then you find curtain raiser articles that gives you what are the possible things that are going to take place between these two countries. So it is coming from former ambassadors, so we can rely on all the important things that are highlighted here. Now let's locate Myanmar. This is Myanmar. You can see it is sharing border with Thailand, it is sharing border with Laos, China, India, Bangladesh, right? It is also having Bay of Bengal here. Andaman and Nicobar Sea are not far from Myanmar. It is also part of ASEAN. It is also a member of BIMSTEC, and we know that after Narendra Modi came to power, India's foreign policy has changed. We have now India first, neighborhood first policy. We have Act East policy, which was known as Looked East policy before, and we are looking after our Indian diaspora very well as well. Now let's break this down. Let's understand India-Myanmar relationship. Historical ties between both these countries. We have strong cultural ties. People to people contact are good, and let me tell you that if you want to build relation with any country, if you want to deepen the relation with any country, then people to people contact is the pillar. Based on this, all different relations can be built. But if people to people contact are not good, then you cannot develop relationship. This is something very basic about diplomacy. Diaspora relations are good as well. Buddhism is a thing that is connecting both the country. We know that Buddhism, Lord Buddha was living in India. All his teachings and his first lectures were in India, but at present we can see that most of the Southeast Asian countries, you find a huge amount of Buddhist population living here. It is a strong link connecting Myanmar and India. Apart from that, you'd be surprised to know that Vipassana, it is a breathing technique, meditation technique that was invented by Lord Buddha himself, that was nearly extinct from India, but it returned to India from Myanmar. This took place somewhere around 50 years ago. So again, it is a good link between these two. It is a strong bridge. Then you might have heard about a place called Bagan. Bagan has Ananda Temple, and at present Archaeological Survey of India is facelifting this historical temple. There are pagodas there. The pagodas are basically monasteries of Buddhist monasteries in Myanmar. And in 2016, Myanmar had a huge earthquake. Because of that, many of the pagodas were destroyed, but now Indian cabinet has approved for restoration of these pagodas, and it is talked about at present that Prime Minister will visit Yangon. Yangon is a place where we find people of Indian origin living there. Indian communities living over there as well. And here is your Anand Temple. Remember this. If you find a question, Ananda Temple or Anand Temple, then it is located in Myanmar. If we go back to a history a little bit, both the countries got independence roughly around the same time, and after independence, things were not good that much, particularly in Myanmar, but the trade relations between both the countries have passed through all the turbulent times. In 1960s, Myanmar saw a takeover, a military coup. The democratic government was taken over by military, and at that point of time as well, it was having good trade relation with India. In 1980s, it faced Western sanctions, particularly because of military dictatorship, and at that point of time as well, India, both the trade relations were in fact going on reasonably well. Now let's go through fundamentals of bilateral relationship. First of all, let's talk about security. See, now you might have heard about surgical strike that was conducted by India in the eastern side of India, that is in Myanmar. There are many notorious elements, Indian insurgent groups living, and they are active in Myanmar, but there is a steady growth of defense relationship between both these countries, particularly Navy and Army, and national security advisor level talks are also going on well between these two countries. Apart from that, there are bilateral agreements in capacity building, health, culture, development, maritime security, and if we analyze it in terms of India's work, what India is doing in Myanmar, then you find that India is partnering with Myanmar in $2 billion development projects. The projects are trilateral highway, very important one, India, Myanmar, Thailand. Dear friends, you won't find direct questions. They won't ask you to comment on India, Myanmar, Thailand project, but they can ask you to debate or provide your critical analysis on neighborhood first policy or look east policy. At that point of time, this sort of important items can be of your great help. Trilateral highway, I have shown you that from India is sharing a border with land border with Myanmar, and Myanmar is sharing a land border with Thailand. All these three countries are part of BIMSTEC. Two of this country, that is Thailand and Myanmar, are part of ASEAN. So that means ASEAN can be connected with BIMSTEC. Things are going on, talks are going on regarding it. And if the highway is made, then India will have access to ASEAN countries as well. Road connectivity will be there. Then there is a Kaladan multimodal transport and transit project. Because of chicken's neck, because of challenges that we face, because of a very narrow corridor nearby Siliguri, we have found another way to transport items to northeastern state, and we are using multimodal. Multimodal basically means you are using roads as well, and whenever possible you are using waterways as well. So from Bay of Bengal we reach to this Kaladan river, and from Kaladan river it goes upstream, then it connects with northeastern state of India via road. So this is a project. It is cheaper mode of transportation for supplying necessary items to northeastern states, and this project is going on very well, and hopefully by 2020 all these projects will be completed. Myanmar Institute of Information Technology for Human Development in Myanmar, entrepreneurship programs, language training program, border development projects, particularly Chin and Naga, and once these are completed, particularly these two projects, then it will give a boost to our northeast economy. It will also attract Buddhist tourism, both Gaya and Buddha tourism circle that India has developed in Bihar. So this will also find people coming from different parts of the world. It will protect India's strategic interest in Bay of Bengal, and it will also expand footprints of India in South China Sea. As I told you, from Thailand you can access other ASEAN countries, and South China Sea is surrounded by all these countries. Trade relationship, if we talk about, if we go through it, then of course it is not to its max. It is underutilized, or it is not working as per its potential, but beans and pulses are the biggest imported items from Myanmar. Nearly $1 billion worth of beans and pulses are imported, and nearly 90% of what Myanmar produces, right? Pulses and beans are exported to India, and it is very vital for farmers of Myanmar to export this, because they are relying on India. It is of course necessary for the food security of India, because we know that how the pulses prices shoots up and it becomes a big trouble for everyone, because in India you have a largest amount of population, poor population, that is relying on pulses for its protein source, as a protein source. For foreign exchange of Myanmar, it is very important that the supply of pulses and beans keeps on going, and India should ensure that these things are not restricted. It is also supplying rice to China in huge quantity, but it sees that many times China keeps on putting quantitative barrier, but India should keep this in mind. In 2012 we have set a target of hitting $3 billion bilateral trade, but we have not achieved it. But for that we have to diversify the trade. There are many things that India can sell to Myanmar. There are many things that we can, like say for example raw material that can be imported from Myanmar. Now if we go through the location of Myanmar, that we find that it is located between two Asian giants. One is India and one is China. So it wants, of course, to grow economically. It wants overall development for its country, because it has gone through longest period of time. It was under military dictatorship, so things have not developed that much. And after the elevation of or after the victory of Aung San Suu Kyi, who got the Nobel Prize as well for the struggle she did for the democracy in Myanmar, it is moving ahead and it is working for growth and development. Now, as I told you, it is located between these two giants. China, we know it, how it works. It develops a sort of extractive relationship. Extractive relationship basically means that it sucks away all the natural resources. Particularly in Bay of Bengal, China is looking, or it is attracted towards oil and gas resources in Bay of Bengal. It is also trying to penetrate its one belt, one road policy, and it is also trying to take over by making special economic zones in Kyaikpyu. It is a natural deep sea harbor. It wants to take it over. This way of Chinese colonization is something that is not appreciated by India particularly. It is growing within its neighboring countries. We know Hambantota, we know Pakistan's Gwadar port. It is also trying to penetrate in Nepal. Bangladesh has joined OBOR, so this is something India is worried about. So these are the things that will be talked about. Then the time when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Myanmar, Rohingya crisis are at its peak. Basically, militants are fighting, and Myanmar security forces is fighting militants. They are fighting with each other. 1,000 people have died so far, mostly Rohingyas, and it is not that only militants have died. There are many poor people, there are many innocent people that have lost their lives as well. They have lost their villages, they have lost their properties and things like that, and many of them are seeking refuge in India. There is a case going on in Supreme Court regarding it. In a couple of days we will find something about it. Still at present it is sub judice, so there is no point in commenting about it. And the biggest worry is that radicalization. This sort of situations are the breeding ground for radicalization. We don't want something similar that is happening in Pakistan. We don't want something to happen in another part of India, and that is another side of India, and that is Myanmar. We don't want radicalization to grow or penetrate in this part of the world. The importance of this visit can be highlighted that it is a pure bilateral relationship. In 2014, PM Modi visited Myanmar, but it was regarding ASEAN Summit. Former Prime Minister visited in 2012, and much has flown since then. Many things have changed. In 2015, Aung San Suu Kyi came to power. In 2016, Donald Trump came to power, and 2017 we saw OBOR and Doklam standoff as well. So let's see how things turns up. This is of course a curtain raiser. Apart from that, one important item is regarding BRICS summit. One of the biggest achievement that India has got is regarding terrorism. All these BRICS nations have jointly named Pakistani-based groups JEM and LET as terrorist organization. This was not accepted by China earlier on. China has changed its position. Earlier it used to keep on putting technical hold. If some of you don't know what technical hold is all about, then let me quickly give you a brief on it. Basically, China is part of United Nations Security Council. It has 5 permanent members and it has 10 non-permanent members. Now these 5 permanent members are known as P5. They have veto power. That means if there is a resolution going on, if they are talking about, say for example, naming JEM as a terrorist organization, then out of 5, even if 1 member denies, then it will be considered as a no, right? Even if the 4 members, forget about the other 10 non-permanent members, they have no powers whatsoever. But if these 5 members, this 5 P5 or permanent 5 members, if this members out of 1, even if 1 member is against the resolution, then other 4s have to obey it. So this is how United Nations Security Council is working. It is outdated and it has to change. India is trying its level best to enter into as a permanent member of United Nations Security Council. China used to keep this, it used to exercise this sort of technical hold because it has a special relationship with Pakistan, but this time things have changed. It is of course a diplomatic victory, not victory, but it is a diplomatic breakthrough for our country. China has, and all the BRICS members have condemned terrorism in all its form, and they have outrightly clarified that there could not be any double standard when it comes to terrorism. We cannot say that he is a good terrorist or a bad terrorist. Terrorism is terrorism, simple is that. They have condemned terrorist attack taking place around the world, and particularly that are taking place in BRICS country. India has offered that it can conduct a global conference on countering radicalization. We are not talking about terrorism, right? Radicalization. This is a big issue. Social media is playing a big role in radicalizing people. It said that India has said that we will have BRICS, we will have ASEAN in this conference, and people can share their positive experience in dealing with radicalization. As I told you, it is a diplomatic breakthrough for India. Last year in Goa, China was skeptical about it, of naming JEM and other Pakistani-based terrorist group in India, but now it has agreed with India. And after Doklam, if we are hearing this thing, then this is a good sign. Many of us were thinking that it is not going to be, China will do things that will create trouble for India after Doklam, but no, this is not right. Things are working in our favor. It might have also got pressure from Donald Trump, who has recently warned Pakistan to stop all this nefarious activity that it is doing. Dear friends, we have to note down that we should not name it as a diplomatic victory, because India has been a victim of terrorism for the longest time, and we know it very well that the terrorist groups that are active in Pakistan are getting logistic supports from abroad. So we have to target the people or the organizations or the countries that are providing all this logistic support. So regional terrorism and dealing with regional terrorism is not going to solve the problem. Each and every country has to come on board, right? This is of utmost importance. Now, during a restricted session of the summit, Prime Minister raised issue of international terrorism. He has also talked about money laundering, ban on terror groups, and restructuring international organization like United Nations Security Council. You can connect this thing with you can connect it with what Prime Minister Modi said in his statement. Modi has also talked about disaster resilient infrastructure. We have seen many disasters taking place in BRICS nation, deepening BRICS partnership, underlining or projecting or supporting youth of BRICS nation. Apart from that, they have condemned hydrogen bomb test. They have said that talks or peaceful solutions should be found for Korean Peninsula and the troubles going on between USA and Korea. BRICS support. It has supported Afghan-led and Afghan-owned peace process, and apart from that, Modi ji has also talked about the way BRICS countries are working in a mission mode to eradicate poverty, to ensure health for all, education for all, for ensuring food security, sanitation facilities, gender equality, and energy. Dear friends, that's basically overview of BRICS, and of course we'll find some more articles on BRICS, and at that point of time, once these things will get ripen up, we will talk about it in detail. But he has also talked about having a BRICS rating agency. At present we have Western agencies. There are 3 Western agencies. You might have heard about Moody's and Standard & Poor, and these agencies are doing or holding 90% share in rating as a rating agency. So India should have, or BRICS should have, its own rating agencies. Moving on to another topic, officials now will be provided with secure mobile phone. And remember, this is a very important organization, CERT. It is a sort of cyber security arm of Government of India. The full form stands Computer Emergency Response System India. You find this CERTIN many a times in news because of all the different sort of cyber attacks taking place in our country. To ensure security of communication, Google Pixel phone plus Geo SIM cards will be provided to top officials of or top bureaucrats. At present they are using REX system. It is a landline system, but of course a mobile is a good source, a good medium for communication, and it is particularly important for the people who are working in sensitive department. Then we know that cabinet reshuffle took place, and all different new ministers like Railway Minister, Skill Development Minister, then Ganga Rejuvenation Minister, they have been saying that they will work what the previous leaders were. They will continue the work of previous leaders, and many leaders they have said that there is nothing like promotion or demotion. It is all about what duties are being given to them by their leader Narendra Modi. Through helicopters, these are indigenous helicopters. Many times you find questions based on this sort of items, military items. So remember it is developed by Hindustan Aeronautical Limited, which is known as HAL Hull, and it is going to make 41 through advanced light helicopters for Navy and Army. It is using as engine that is called Shakti. It is named Shakti, and it is developed by India's Hull and Turbomeca. This is a company of France. So together they have developed Shakti. The only problem is that slow production is delaying the things, and through is important for the soldiers serving in higher altitude. Apart from that, there is another disheartening incident that took place in Farrukhabad. 49 infants have died between 20th July and 21st of August. Inquiry is on, and I must say that you should check out a special video lecture that is available on our StudyIQ YouTube channel, or you can follow this link as well, and you will be taken to that video, in which we have tried to provide you an overall scenario of health sector. RBI has said that it does not have any sort of profound information so far regarding black money and unaccounted cash that came during demonetization. News from environment and biodiversity. This animal that you can see on your screen is known as tapirs. This animal is the largest land mammal in Central America. It is in news because as per IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, very important item here, right? This is categorized as most threatened species. You will find this sort of question, so please ensure that you are up to date with it. Remember this thing if you want to note it down. then do note it down. But remember, you will be provided this lecture slide, so don't worry about it. Just keep it safe and do your timely revision. Now, if any of you are facing or suffering from lack of concentration, then let me give you a small item or present to you that the main culprit is sleep. If you are not getting enough sleep, then this can ruin your concentration. This was, of course, published in the Hindu newspaper of the day. Dear friends, before I end this lecture, let me remind you again that 8th of September is not far. Do not wait for anyone. Go to our website and get your necessary kit. The pen drive course and tablet course are must for UPSC. It is must for your government exams, may it be state level exam. If you are preparing for bank exam or SSC level exam, we have pen drive courses for all this examination. They are prepared by keeping in mind the importance, by keeping in mind that the relevant items are included in this pen drive courses to ensure that you do not miss out and you achieve your dreams. If you have question or queries, feel free to give us a call on this number. You can also take the benefit of online chatting option that is available on our website. Dear friends, if you need this lecture, then all you have to do is you have to go to our website, or if you have not joined our Telegram channel yet, then I would insist you to do it ASAP. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do share this. Today is Teachers Day, so how about you can play a small role as a teacher by sharing it with your friends and family. Like this video, comment on it. I'll see you all soon. Till then, enjoy your studies. This is Prashant Mawani signing off. Jai Hind.